The most dangerous and long-lasting weapon the Spanish had during the conquest of the Americas was not disease, guns, or swords, but the idea of organized racial superiority, or the caste system.
Well, caste systems typically is a system of hierarchy. And in many countries, it's still currently used. In Latin America, it's specific to your race. When the Spaniards came into Latin America and conquered, they imposed a caste system based on the color of your skin.
Spanish and born in Spain, you were like on the top class.
Children born from Spaniards, born in the Americas.
Then there was the mestizos, which would be white and Indians.
You have the Spanish mixed with the African, which creates the Sambo, indigenous, the African, and then the last category is the African mixed with indigenous. And they were called lobo.
Like any other race system, same thing like with Hitler, with all these different things that come about or come into play, it's because people need to have power over other people. And in order to do that, you belittle them or you look for ways to show that you're superior.
Despite social progress made during the 1960s and 1970s, one's position on the caste ladder is still an issue in the media for Latinos.
Status quo is what sells.
So the lighter you were, the more opportunities you had in the society.
If you had darker skin, you were not as beautiful or attractive as if you had lighter skin or white skin.
But I think it still goes back to that same sense of power, what's in power. And they want to make money and they want to get advertisement and stuff like that. And the only way that they can get it is by marketing to the status quo, I guess. And so, for the most part, the status quo is that white image, and it's not the indigenous image.
It's stark in Peru when you think about the percentage of people who look like the advertisements in Peru. It's like 1%.
The models that are, all the commercials are usually light-skinned people that don't necessarily represent most of the population.
I mean, there are some times that the indigenous image is okay, but it becomes distorted. Like, for instance, when they want something sexually exotic, okay, they'll use the indigenous image, but of course not in what I would call respectful attire. They take kind of indigenous attire and they change it in a way that I'm not impressed with.
Whenever there were insults in the house, the first insult related to the skin color. It wasn't about your intelligence, it wasn't about your strength, physical strength. It was about how dark you were, how stupid, therefore.
When there was any sibling disagreements and for example, my brother, he would call my sister, even though she was light-skinned, but she had very curly hair, she would call her 40 rosquitas. What that means is 40 curls.
One of my friends, who's Mexican, who's actually Zapotec, went to Colombia together. We studied together, and he's like my boy. He came to visit me in Peru, and I was like, hey man, be aware, that like Peru's mad racist. He, got really mistreated especially in the mountains. He went to Cusco. He would say he would walk into a tourism office, say, and he's American, he wants to book a tour, book a flight, and he couldn't get any service because they thought he was like just un indio sin plata, like an Indian without money.
The house, you could always hear us talking about, el negrito, oye negro pa' aquí, negro pa' allá. If you look at my brother, he's not black in terms of his skin color, and yet in comparison to us, he was.
There's no question that I have white privilege in Peru, in Oakland, in the United States, wherever I go. I mean, it's just a fact of life.
There's times that if I wear traditional dress or whatever, then I'm categorized that way and then treated that way also.
Even though we didn't really understand what we were doing at the time, we were definitely partaking in a system that put darker skinned people, Peruvians, down.
I would like to think this is changing, but if it's changing very slowly.
We haven't really had a conversation about it.
The only way that I think that it could truly stop if people in all different classes could unite on that philosophy that that's not just.